Welcome to Synagogues of Michigan Part 3. In this episode we look at 4 cities near each other: Lansing, Ann Arbor, Flint, and Jackson. As the map shows, our first city is Lansing. Lansing has about 114,000 residents and is also the state capital of Michigan. Let's take a look at the first of its 2 Jewish houses of worship. As this sign will shortly show us, this is Congregation Kehilat Israel. It belongs to the Reconstructionist movement. The congregation was founded in 1970 and moved to this building in 1982 when it purchased a Lansing public school building. It is located about 2 miles away from Michigan State University. Rabbi Michael Zimmerman is their spiritual leader and has been so since 2003. 1 or 2 Friday evening services are held each month, and Saturday morning services for Shabbat are held every week. A Kiddush lunch is usually held after every Saturday morning service. The Reconstructionist and the Conservative prayer books are alternated for use on Saturday morning services. There are strict congregational policies regarding religious observance. This includes that the kitchen for the synagogue is dairy only. No meat products are permitted to be brought into the building. All food packages must have a kosher certification that is marked as either dairy or parve. And even though it is not a strictly Orthodox congregation, the following rules are in place. No writing on the premises is permitted on Shabbat. Photography is not permitted during religious services on Shabbat, nor is sound recording permitted during religious services on Shabbat. There is a second Jewish house of worship in Lansing, a Reform temple. Actually, it's in East Lansing, and it's called Congregation Shaarei Tzedek, which means Gates of the Righteous. The spiritual leader is Rabbi Bigman. Services are conducted in both Reform and Conservative traditions. On Friday night, the Reform sitter is used, whereas on Saturday mornings the services are conducted with the Conservative tradition. However, there is also a periodic Saturday morning Reform service held in another room other than the main sanctuary. This congregation began in 1918, although there was a merger with another Reform congregation named Bethel in the 1930s. This building was completed in 1969. And now, on to Ann Arbor. There are 5 locations for Jewish houses of worship in Ann Arbor, Michigan. There are about 117,000 residents in Ann Arbor, and is also home to the University of Michigan. Being a college town, besides the Jewish students at the university, there are college administrators and faculty members who practice the full spectrum of Jewish religious affiliation. This building we are looking at is the campus Hillel building. It is also home to a modern Orthodox service, appropriately called the Ann Arbor Orthodox Minyan. It shares services with the Orthodox Student Minyan of the University of Michigan Hillel. It was founded in 1965 by a small group of faculty and students. Rabbi Rod Glogauer is its current spiritual leader. At present, there are about 70 members of the congregation who are regularly joined by at least 100 students of the Hillel Minyan. During the school year, services are held both morning and evenings. During the summer, only on Shabbat and special occasions. And now on to our second synagogue in Ann Arbor. This is Beth Israel congregation, affiliated with the Conservative movement. Shabbat services are held Friday evenings and Saturday mornings. There are also nightly evening services. The spiritual leader is Rabbi Robert Dobrusin, and the associate rabbi is Kim Blumenthal. The congregation was established in 1916. It moved into this location in 1978. And now let's take a look at our third synagogue in Ann Arbor. One does not often see such a nice building for a Chabad house, but such is the case in Ann Arbor. Lubavitch Chabad has been serving the Ann Arbor area for close to 40 years. A mikveh, or ritual bathhouse, is located on the premises of this Chabad house building. Daily services are held in conjunction with the Hillel's Orthodox Minyan. Some are held at the Hillel house and some are held at the Chabad house. And now on to our fourth house of worship. This is Temple Beth Emet. It is a Reformed congregation that has an unusual facility situation. It shares a building with an Episcopal church. It has a regular Friday evening service as well as special programs for the family. There is a Saturday morning Shabbat Torah study and Saturday morning services on weekends when there is a bar or bat mitzvah celebration. Their spiritual leader since 1984 is Rabbi Robert D. Levy. And now on to our fifth and final house of worship in Ann Arbor, Michigan. This is the Ann Arbor Reconstructionist Chavura. It meets in the building of the Ann Arbor Jewish Community Center. The congregation was founded in 1993. A rotation of visiting rabbis are employed. They meet formally on the second Saturday and the fourth Friday each month for Shabbat services at the JCC, their home base. This wraps up the Ann Arbor portion of our travelogue. So we continue on to Flint, where we have three more synagogues. This is Temple Bethel, a Reformed congregation. I don't have a lot of information on this congregation other than there has been a recent decline in membership down to about 100 families. So we're going to head over to the next house of worship situation, which is literally a block down the road. I use the word situation for a reason. Until just a few weeks ago, this was the home of Congregation Beth Israel, a conservative affiliated one. But they sold it and vacated it already, and are in temporary hiatus until they can determine where the quarters will be for both short and long-term needs. Under normal circumstances, they have daily services both morning and evening, except for Sunday. The congregation has been around since the 1880s and expect to be doing business again by the high holidays. There is talk that they may even share a building with the Reformed Temple Bethel. Stay tuned for further developments. And now on to our third congregation, which is also another block down the road on the same street. This private residence is also the Chabad House of Eastern Michigan. As it is affiliated with Chabad, it practices the Lubavitch Hasidic Orthodox customs. Rabbi Yisrael Weingarten is its director, and it also has a mikveh, or ritual bath facilitation. And now we're going to jump over to our fourth city, Jackson. This is Temple Beth Israel, a Reformed congregation. It was started way back in 1862. This building was dedicated in 1949 and remodeled after a fire in 1971. At its high point, there were probably 300 families. Now they're down to about 60. The congregation holds Shabbat services on the first Saturday of each month and on Friday evenings, except when that same weekend there is a Saturday service. The spiritual leader is Rabbi S. Robert Moraes. This concludes our lengthy but interesting trip through these four cities in Michigan. More episodes of Synagogues of Michigan to follow. See you real soon.